Welcome, fellow travelers. I'm Shae of the Grey Sentinels, and I'm joining Chibi and Vertek here at the Golden Feather. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
Before quarter 3 is a character creator. This is from a shown on the forums asking, we all know that alpha is due to hit sometime in Q3. We have been told that we will see the character creator before alpha 2. Any guesses as to when? Do you think we'll see the character creator before alpha 2 at this point?
Ooh, I want to be super optimistic and just say, yeah, totally. But I think what they could do, and I don't know if this is how they would do it, is maybe only a couple weeks before have the downloadable client where you can, kind of start the creation process and just prevent logins. I don't know if they would do like a separate downloadable. I think they would just kind of front load it into the Alpha 2 download experience, sort of. I'm really hoping that they do, because I'm somebody that takes like a super long time with character creation, being very particular about things. So I know it'll definitely save me a bunch of time on Alpha 2 launch day if they do that. But I did actually have a question related to character building and character creation. Okay. Do you guys happen to, like, if you're placing a scar on a character or something, do you guys say, oh, hey, like that looks really cool? Or do you guys like try and think about like the backstory behind the scar and how that character feels about the scar? Do you get that in depth about it?
It depends for me. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, you go ahead. You go ahead first.
I guess for me, it depends on like what the purpose of my character is for. If it's one of those where it doesn't go that in depth, or like if I'm not streaming it, then if I am streaming it or the character creator is not in depth, then I just kind of skip over it and I'm like, okay, it's just the basic thing. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not streaming it, like when I was playing Sims and stuff like that, I could sit there for hours just messing with it and seeing what I could do. And I just loved the fact that you could move it and turn it and rotate it and everything. I don't know. That was really cool.
I think it would make sense from a development perspective for them to, want to open up, that Alpha 2 process in piecemeal, kind of get the creator out there, iron out any potential UI things or bugs with it. And that also means that on launch day, they already have a bunch of people that already have, kind of the bones of the client downloaded. So I could see it making a lot of sense for them to incorporate that as part of the launch. A couple weeks out, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling that probably want to get it tested a bit, the character creator, before Alpha 2 goes live, just because you don't want everybody jumping into Alpha 2 going, it's broken, I can't even get in.
Right.
But as far as the scars thing, I'm kind of a mix of both. I usually would start off with something that's like, well, what kind of person is this? What have they gone through? And I'll try to pick scars that also look cool at the same time, while being able to fit into what kind of person they are or what may have happened in the past. But I don't really go into a full deep backstory on it, so much as like, picked them up along the way, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Bit of a balance, still accounting for their story, but not writing a page long about how they got that particular thing. I get you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell the story, but it would be a scar that would make sense for the type of, the places he hangs out and the places he goes and things he does and such like that.
How was the character creator in Alpha 1? Do you feel like it was like a good start, and do you think they'll expand on it a lot?
Ooh. Well, it was incredibly basic, and you basically chose of 3 pre-made models, and I think you could change your hair color. And
there's a lot of very basic presets, not anything too in-depth that we've seen so far. So I'm excited to see how much, if any, has been iterated upon. I think it'd be cool to see a few different races at the beginning of Alpha 2 to play, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope we can sculpt our butts more than our faces. We never see our own faces anyway.
But yeah, Galwood there has it perfectly right. Steven had said the character creator is scheduled before Alpha 2, but I don't think I can't recall specifically if there's been a clarification stating if scheduled before means it'll be completed before, or scheduled before as in tested and available before.
I thought at one point they said it was going to be available prior to Alpha 2 so that people can just mess and test around with the character creator, but I can't find anything solid on that, so it may have been exactly what Galwood said.
Actually, no. I think I just found it right here. Bear with me. Let me get it popped open. Let me get it popped open here.
Basil says, I want to see how the creator is for other races. We have only seen human. Fair. Raka says, Nara, do we get to see your butt in a shady ERP tavern? Wow. Galwood says, yeah, I read the full quote in that wiki link, and it's still pretty vague sounding to me. It could go either way.
Oh.
That's fair.
There you go.
I'm over here.
We aim to have the character creator in the hands of players before the release of Alpha 2, so you will have plenty of time to do just that.
Yeah, that was last April when I believe they were first showing. Oh, wow. 2 Aprils ago. Leave me alone.
So it could be coming.
2023 was a blur.
It's going to come out either tomorrow or 6 months from now.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere in that range.
Oh
Somewhere in
my
there.
gosh. Never.
Is chat getting spicy right now?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I guess moving on to a different class system. This is talking about class flavor from the Reddit from Feroji, saying one thing I love about MMOs is the class flavor abilities. For example, in WoW, mages have portals to teleport around, Death Knights can walk on water, etc. I really hope something like this is added in the game. Well, all right. First off, yeah, Samurai is already responding. I feel like what they mean by flavor is actually utility. So, what are your thoughts?
I really like it. I like the idea that they're encouraging class diversity in different compositions. You know, the idea of people are throwing out, you know, a rogue sort of disarming traps and things like that. I think there's a lot of value in having that. My only concern is that how the community responds to that, whether they feel like it's a chore to try and include that, or whether people kind of lean into the positive side saying, hey, you know, I get to have a special thing that my particular class does. I'd actually like to see it deepened a little bit. I don't know if they're planning on just having kind of one core like utility type feature, but having 2 or 3 would be nice for your class, and maybe you're only spec'd into one at a given time. Just to add even more character customization and even more, oh, hey, you know, I need a cleric for one of their particular utilities. You don't just go find any cleric. You're kind of talking to a few, seeing which one has that particular loadout set up.
I like that. But before I give my answer for tech, what are your thoughts? Oh my gosh.
Well.
It's a Guild Umbra. What the heck?
Guild Umbra, how's it going?
This person's still around? Wow.
This guy. It's been a while, friend. Welcome on in.
Old friend of
AOC
Vertex.
is still being launched, probably before the other game that's taken a long time, and we won't mention the name.
I feel like I know which game you mentioned, but I don't know.
Well,
that shall
Umbra
not
would
be
definitely
named.
know. Yeah. But
Is it going before I retire?
I have a lot to say about this topic here, specifically because my main class is going to be a tank.
Right.
Can you tell me what the class fantasy and what kind of ability would fit in with what you think of as tank? Because I'll tell you what, because I can totally think of, but non-combat if we're just going utility.
Oh.
So, but I can think of something for cleric and rogue and ranger and mage and every other class they have, but just tank.
I mean,
know.
for
You
tank,
are the utility.
I'm imagining that, you know, maybe a tank, they have to like slam into the ground to be able to like raise something that's buried just from the shockwaves of their force or something. Shattering through a wall, perhaps.
Goblet says strength check to knock down doors.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
There you go.
It could be
breaking down like those things like if you see in Genshin or Breath of the Wild, where you can like explode it with bombs or whatever. Maybe you just have like the strength where you can just like I know.
It's like we're on the same wavelength. I was just gonna say it would be like in Legend of Zelda where you see that obvious door shape that has like the cracked wall, and you can only get in there with a bomb. We can only get in those in Ashes with a tank that runs through the wall.
There could also just be like super hostile areas. Like let's say there's a little like lava waterfall that the tank has to like use some sort of mitigation ability to get through.
Sure.
Yeah, something like that.
See, you just gotta sit there and think for a moment.
Well, this is one of those, like, there's not like an actual like class fantasy thing that I can be like a tank, or a tank should totally have something like, I don't know, like what? Getting knocked off my horse is harder to do? No, because that's a combat ability. I don't know. Blocking people from, no, that's a combat ability.
You are the utility. We have a tank. That is all we need. It is a tank.
Yeah. If anyone needs a fence post nailed in, I mean, my face will do it. It takes enough abuse, it's used to it.
Oh my gosh.
You know, if you keep everyone else alive, though, it's kind of like you have like 7 utility skills because you have all of theirs.
Yeah. Right? There you go.
Using your shield as a skateboard whilst you carry your entire party. You know what? That reminds me also of Breath of the Wild with that desert area, and you get pulled by the giant like creatures that you have to stun, and you just like surf across the sand on top of a shield. It was really fun.
So not in a literal sense, but just because you mentioned a shield, this is more of not a technical question, but just an ethical one. Do tanks require a shield to be a tank?
I don't think so. I think a tank, to me, and I'll let Vertek answer after this because he's like the tank, but to me, a tank is just somebody who can be a barrier between me and the thing that's trying to kill me. And like somebody that can do a lot of the mitigation for me so that I can stay alive and or heal other people.
Gotcha. Regardless of whether they have a shield or not.
Yeah, exactly. Vertek, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those, like the optimal tank is going to be able to, or is going to basically require the shield, because every class is going to be maybe not married, but at least seriously dating a specific weapon.
Yeah.
And if the shield's in the game, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the tank's thing, is it's going to require a shield and a one-hander, probably a shield and sword, I would imagine. And everything else will be possible, but you're going to lose out on things like your shield bash, and I'm going to guess the Aegis skill that he used, the big one that puts like the giant dividing the flame wall coming towards you and protects everybody behind you type skill. I imagine that's going to require a shield.
Yeah, there might be some sort of parry things that they involve, you know, if you're using a two-handed sword or something.
Yeah.
By the way, just because I know you guys like puns, do you ever go by Vertank?
Tank. I think someone had mentioned it once or twice.
Or I do call him DJ Vectech because he's gonna play a Vec and he likes to DJ. So DJ Vectech.
Love it.
DJ Vectech. I'm just saying, Intrepid, if you want to hire a DJ for any say conventions, parties, or otherwise, you just let me know.
We're just gonna change you from DJ Vertech to DJ Vectech just so you're more Ashes focused.
Nice.
Teasing. But this is back on the forums from Umbral Moth, talking about a mining system idea they had. And they said, what do you think of this idea for mining gathering system? I made an animation for it, but I'm not sure how to post it here. It seems like video isn't allowed, so please forgive typos. I know there are a few. And in general, they go through and there's like a really nice infographic on it. What are your thoughts? Just from like what you've read through.
So this is the topic that I was saying that I could talk about for a long time. I will make sure to keep it succinct, but yeah, definitely just a shout out to them for creating this, because you know, again, I'm a big fan of skill-based artisanship. This is maybe more choice-based artisanship if I'm interpreting it correctly, but yeah, being able to put a visual to some of these discussions around more nuanced gathering, refining, and crafting systems, you don't actually see a lot of that. I'd love to see more visual representations of what people discuss for this. So yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense to, you know, we talk about crafting and adding more depth to that. You know, in the artisanship stream, they went into some detail about how you can alter the end result of your crafting, but things like refining or even gathering here, I think they also deserve quote unquote gamification, you know, giving people something very specific to do, some choice, some player involvement in the actual activities. So so yeah, no, beautiful looking graphic. They definitely explain their thoughts well. I'm gonna have to read through it a couple more times just to, you know, fully absorb it, but this is exactly the type of direction that I think they would benefit from including in Ashes, because there aren't a lot of games that I can think of that really go into this sort of type of mechanics. And I think because of how integral artisanship is, I think the more that they can invest in those systems, the better.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they did, like you said, a really good job of laying it out and explaining it.
Yeah, it's very pretty looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when somebody is going to be spending so much time gathering, refining, and crafting, I mean, there are going to be nice moments between those. You know, you're traveling, you're looking at things, you're exploring, but yeah, making the activities themselves more involved, especially if they make it optional where, you know, you can just sort of mine the node, move on, you know, take your time, that's, you know, or just hastily go between things, that's fine. But yeah, if somebody wants to take the time on a node and maybe benefit from it, you know, put their effort in and kind of get rewarded for it, I think that feeds into some of the design choices they're already emphasizing for Ashes, especially if a system like this where you engage in a choice between mining, you know, iron or some gems, maybe you have like a 10% chance of getting a super high quality gem, but, you know, an 80% chance that it fails, or, you know, that would definitely increase the replayability of some of these systems. It would allow people to feel like they're specializing. And so, yeah, that would actually give other ways for them to increase options in the skill tree too. So definitely an awesome post. I definitely recommend everyone check it out and weigh in on it.
Yeah, I agree. Nara says, I wish Umbral made that thread in general, and so I pretty much never checked the other forums other than announcements. To be fair, this is actually why I brought the API to pull like topics from the forums and put it in our Discord, because then I have one place to check everything coming through. Because otherwise, there's going to be a lot that I miss, to be honest.
Yeah. After A2 goes live, though, that channel is going to be very active.
Woo. Yeah, it is. I'm ready.
But for these types of systems, and maybe even for this post in particular, how do you guys feel about involving, you know, player decision or player skill in artisanship?
I love it. I'm really hoping for a way for them to incorporate some kind of skill / at least effort that's not boring, busy work feeling effort. Like with that mining idea there. I think that's really cool, as long as it doesn't rely too much on ping. Personally, I've never cared too much about the whole ping thing, because I've played games and been super far behind, like 300, 400, 500, 600 milliseconds, and I've just had to basically game within a game with that and try to predict what I'll need to do and where it's going to land after the fact. And I just kind of accepted my fate, but I do know there's going to be people that are going to be playing far away from the data centers, and they just won't be able to help their ping. It's not going to be occasional. It's going to be a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be harder for them to deal with, and a mini game kind of like that is, I think, why Intrepid steered away from doing a couple of the mini game ideas that they may have had. And I know for sure they had a combo system at the very beginning of development that they were talking about doing, where there was a little white line that would go across the screen, and if you hit it perfectly on the X marks the spot type of thing, you would get points towards getting like a super combo damage attack. But they did away with that as soon as they realized that ping was going to be a serious issue with it, and that this mining system idea looks very much like it. But I like the concept, but I know it's going to be difficult to make it happen. But I really want there to be some kind of a game that adds to either quality or quantity of your output, that takes you a little bit more hopefully skill but maybe creativity or at least time and effort to get more out of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
For me, I like the mini games that are associated with crafting and stuff in general. I like that Nara says, I agree with what Nara says. The proposed mining system there is much better than those regular timed skill checks. And yeah, it's mainly because of the ping. On single player games is not bad because everything's hosted there locally for you. But for somebody connecting, even if like one of the servers were to be a little bit slow, even with Twitch, for example, just us trying to connect to Twitch sometimes is a little stressful. But in general, I think it's a way to liven it up. It's a way to make it more interesting and not just sit there and, just, I guess, hold the same thing over and over. Though I will say there is something to be said for crafting when you want to just set it and forget it, set it to X amount, and then just go do like a laundry changeover or something real quick. Like, I like that capability, but then opt into doing what you suggested previously, which is the more hands-on articulation of the crafting or the processing.
Yeah, I think that's why it would be important for it to be optional, because people might have particular limitations, in terms of networking. There might also be really good accessibility reasons for them to make it optional. But yeah, in terms of, you mentioned the technical side of it, I think steering away from timing related ones might be quite valuable, but there are a lot of different ways at a foundational level you can do it. So, having it based on, choice and decision, you can have it be based on risk and luck. It can also be based on precision as well. So a lot of different types of mini games aside from the timing one. So in this case here, for precision, maybe you have to move your mouse on screen in a particular direction, tracing paths and different things like that, which kind of reminds me of like old Mario Party games, I guess. But
it also kind of reminds me of a more modern game, the Hogwarts Legacy game, where when you learn a spell, you have to trace the spell before you can unlock it.
Sure. Yeah. Things like that. There's even a game, this is going to be a deep cut if one person recognizes this. There's a game called Fantasy Blacksmith, which kind of goes into a lot of those very hands-on type of systems. It's a little rough around the edges, but it kind of has you pick the different pieces of the item. You grind down the blade. There's a lot of really direct involvement with the crafting, maybe even more so than I would expect for Ashes to execute on, but having precision, risk, luck, choice, decision, as opposed to timing, those are all different ways that they could gamify it, keep it interesting, and add some extra ways to keep it spicy.